What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're gonna be talking about the new banner here. Well, it's not a new banner hero, but the hero that's in the banner right now, Destina. We're gonna be taking a look at three things: her skills, her comparison against other healers, and last but not least, should you be pulling for her? Is it the right time? Is she just kind of a filler? So we'll go over all that stuff. So we'll go over to the journal to do this. But so the second week that the game came out, which is when I started playing, Destina was the banner at the time. So it's kind of like they already have made a banner for her. So and the event is also the exact same. So I think they're just trying to get a breather after the collab event, and they're just kind of like, hey, here's this unit, and she does counter Dizzy, which we will go over at the end. But they just kind of wanted to, like, it was pretty easy for them probably just to put in this banner since they already have made it all, and the event since it was already kind of made, it was just kind of like redistributing. So it makes sense why they did it. But still, we're gonna talk about her. We're gonna see, should you get her? Is she worth it? So let's just preview the skills right now. So first skill, pretty standard. I've seen these animations way too many times because I use Destina as my main healer. But first skill is pretty good for a healer. It's not bad. It doesn't debuff. But it does heal the lowest ally. So it's kind of like that one artifact that heals the lowest ally every time you take a turn, but that's just her auto attack. And it's pretty good damage. It heals the allies with the lowest speed and is proportional to the target's max health. So for example, if you have a tank, your tank will heal a little bit more than maybe like your damage dealer, if your damage dealer is the one that has the lowest health, which is good and bad in its own way. I wish it was based off of Destina's health, but then I feel like that might be a little bit too strong. But yeah, it's a pretty good skill. This is also the skill that you soul burn, and it does a heal for all allies. And I can tell you from experience, when you soul burn this skill, it does take 2 souls, which is a lot, which is one of the things I really don't like about her, that it takes so many souls to do this. But it essentially is an AoE heal that heals you 100%. So having that option is really nice. It just comes at a very, very hefty cost, but it definitely like will heal your team almost fully. So take that with a grain of salt. Second skill, honestly, is probably one of her worst skills, and like for healers, it's probably one of the worst healing skills in the game. This is one of the skills that is based off of her health though, which is good, because this means that she can actually heal low health allies a lot more than she can high health, which is give or take. Usually high health allies you can heal with the first skill. The second skill also gives combat readiness, so if you have your Destina really fast, which is how I think you should build her, she can also give combat readiness to a priority unit, make sure that they get their turn, make sure that they're able to do whatever they need to. Nothing crazy, the animation's okay. If y'all have seen Rule of Lights, they have really similar animations for this second skill, but Rule of Lights is just considerably better. Destina's is just a pretty standard hero. Now let's talk about the third skill, which is honestly probably one of her strongest skills, but at the same time one of the weakest when compared to other cleansers. And that's the Destina's Grace. Heals all allies, removing all debuffs. The part that makes this skill really strong right now, with Dizzy being in the game, is that if an ally is debuffed, their combat readiness is also increased by 15% per each debuff taking off. Applied 4 times and is proportional to max health. If you build her pretty tanky, you will be healing all your squishy units to full health. Your tanks, maybe not, maybe like 60-70%. It does remove debuffs first, then heal, which is important because, of course, you don't want to heal when you have heal block. So it is nice that it does remove that. But the combat readiness is why this skill and why Destina people are starting to take a second look at their Destina and like, hey, she's not that bad. It's because her third skill, for every debuff taken off, it's 15%. So let's say you're going against Dizzy or Sage Ball and Sasan or Moonlight Armentia, and you have your Destina with not Water's Origin. What's the name? The one that takes off the debuffs of Wanderer's Potion Vial, if you have that one, takes off her own debuff and then does this skill. She takes off all your team's debuffs and then basically gives them an extra turn. So you could have her be the slowest character in your team, but still give your whole team an extra turn, even if you got like destroyed by Dizzy's third skill. because right now it's just literally going to be combat readiness boosting. She's also water, so she's less likely to get her attack bar pushed back by Dizzy. So that's also really, really awesome, really, really strong for her, and makes her a really solid Dizzy counter. This third skill. Kit as a whole, this third skill has a very hefty cooldown. 5 turns is a long time to wait. Achates, who is basically Destina minus this first skill, and Fire, has a 4 turn, and she's a 4-star. The second skill, again, while it does keep combat readiness, it's pretty mediocre. Like, it doesn't do much besides that. The only thing, it's Destina pumps out a lot of heals. So how does she do compared to the other Soul Weavers? So, alright. So the people we have to compare her to are going to be achates, who's literally almost a perfect copy, and Angelica, because they are the 2 Soul Weavers that people are using right now for all their different content. So I do believe that's in Britannia. So we'll try to find. Man, it's always so hard to find them. I always forget what they are. I know I can do a search and try to find if I could see. Yeah, here we go. Soul Weaver. Oh wow, only 19. So the people to compare it to are gonna be the more like the other healers. So compared to achates, achates basically has the same kit as Destina. This third skill though is on a 3-turn cooldown. My bad, not even 4. It's on a 3-turn cooldown when fully skilled up. Destina's is at a 5-turn cooldown. So just remember that. She can AoE heal your whole team and remove all debuffs every 3 turns. She doesn't give the combat readiness, but it also is like super quick. It comes up so often, so achates is strictly better for PvE. Second skill also gives invincibility, which has more versatility than just combat readiness. And then the first skill, it does decrease attack, which also does come in handy in PvE. But achates by herself is often not enough for very strong bosses that do a lot of damage. But she does do the job. But then you usually pair achates up with Angelica, who's the other Soul Weaver we have to compare Destina to, who is also a 4-star, who gives immunity, which is one of the best buffs, gives barrier, so it helps you survive. The second skill heals 2 allies, so it's more healing, so it's on par with Destina's minus the soul burn. And then the first skill is whatever, like the stun doesn't really come up that often. So overall, they are very different, but they're very similar in the same place. Achates and Angelica, though, have solidified their place as PvE queens in Soul Weavers. And Destina really doesn't have that good of a place. Oh, shoot. My app crashed. But overall, with Destina, even though... sorry about the app crashing, guys. But even though those are PvE, Destina finds her spot in the PvP realm because of that combat readiness and how important combat readiness is for PvP, especially with how much debuffs and DC can put out. Destina is straight up just a direct counter to that. So there comes the question: should you get her? That's all we've been leading up to this point. I've been telling you her pluses, her minuses, how she compares to other units. And the final answer to should you get her is maybe. And I know you guys are probably like, what the heck, you're not gonna... I usually will either tell you yes or no. But Destina is really one of those characters that you really need to have her. And really need to have a team that you can put her in. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're like, oh, I'm going to use the Destina, I'm tired of Dizzy, but you don't have a team that can be built around Destina, like a tankier team, it's really not going to do anything good for you. She's just going to be sitting on the side. You're going to be using Angelica way, way, way more. Like, you're never really going to use your Destina. Angelica and achates are way better for PvE. While Destina can work for PvE, trust me, I use my Destina for PvE because I have my Angelica built specifically for Wyvern, and I don't like achates that she's fire. I don't like the element fire, so that's why I use her in PvE. So if you're a new player and you don't have achates or Angelica, then I would encourage you to pull for Destina. because she definitely is one of those characters that, you know, it's really good healing. She can keep a team healthy absolutely by herself. You can pair her up with like other like more aggressive people that put immunity up, and Destina will be able to do all the healing you need, because this gives you really consistent healing for when the bosses don't use their ultimate. This is a straight up like reset of if you're getting debuffed, and this just comes in handy here and there to try to cut into the boss. So she does have her uses in PvE. So I would recommend, if you don't have Angelica or Achates, do pull for Destina. You will use her. You might pull an Angelica and then put your Destina in the back burner, but you'll end up liking, like, the soul burns feel so good when you do the soul burn. But she's gotten power crept, and that's something we need to realize. But now, on the other hand, if you're really, really big into PvP, and you're in upper level PvP, and you're going against Dizzies very often that have teams that can strip you, or have ways, or you don't have immunity on your units, or your units aren't fast enough, and you really just want to have a slow, grindy arena offense team, which honestly is a really good offense team, highly encourage you to pull for Destina. She is straight up a Dizzy counter. That's literally what she is. That's her role in this game, has become to counter Dizzy. That's it. I can go to the top 10 arena players, and I think like 6 of them are starting to use Destina because of the versatility against Dizzy. One other thing that you guys should know is she's one of the slowest Soul Weavers. Achates is at 97, Angelica is like at 93. She's at 89. Destina's struggling in the speed department. But if you can have her go 4th on your team. So worst case scenario, you do get hit by Dizzy. Your team still takes their turn, so your Crimson Armin, whatever, takes her immunity, or like if you have another immunity person, or your Moonlight Rin takes her turn, and your whole team takes a turn. Destina comes in and just wipes the board and gives your team an extra turn. That's really strong for upper level arena. That's really, really good. And then once you have immunity up, the heals are going to become a lot to take down. It's going to be really tilting to have to go against Destina, especially if it's one that you can manage to make 180 speed. Like if you can get to that point with your Destina, oh, that's going to be a hell to try to kill. It's just going to be super tilting. So overall, if you're really into PvP and want to climb higher and have a tanky team, but are struggling with Dizzy because Dizzy just outlasts you, get a Destina. She will take care of all your needs. But if you're not looking to do that in PvP, or you're using a speed team like me, or you already have Achates and Angelica and you're like, oh, I don't want to put the units in, I just recommend you save up, guys. We just got out of a collab and used billions of crystals and summons to try to get these event limited back-to-back banners. So I would just say save up, guys. Yeah, we did the work. If you are not interested in, if you're not a new player and you have Angelica or Achates, it's not worth it for you for the most part. She may get buffed in the future. That's why I have to say that with a grain of salt. But I would hold on. She's also not event limited at all. She's not that new. You have a really good chance to get her in the future. But I don't know. I wouldn't get her if I had my Angelica already built. The odds of her getting a buff are very low. But if you are into that PvP scene and want to build a tanky team, Destina can fill that role for you. And if you're tired of Dizzy, get her. Absolutely get her if you're tired of Dizzy and want to counter. But that is all I got for you guys today. I will not be doing summons for her because I already have my own Destina. And I use her a lot, but that's because I got her at the very beginning of the game. And I didn't have Achates or Angelica, and I already invested a lot into her. And I like how mine is. She's built for PvE, not for PvP, and you know, I like her. She does pretty good stuff. So I'm gonna keep using mine. But that's all I got. I hope that y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.